Hey guys, this is Mani Karthik here. Welcome to another episode of Blogging 101. In today's episode, we'll take a look at the first step to blogging and probably the most significant one too, which is choosing your domain name or blog name. Now, I don't want to go into the most obvious details as to what a domain name or blog name is and etc. etc. What I want to share with you is couple of mistakes that typically people do when choosing domain names and how you can avoid it and come up with a good domain name that's actually good value for money, and also where you can buy it from for cheap and avoid expensive unwanted charges. Now all of this comes from my 10 plus years of experience blogging, so you might want to stick around and not miss this. So let's see. Awesome. So to start off with, the number one thing that I want to tell you about domain names is that take your time. Invest a lot of time in finding out what a good blog or domain name is for you. Don't jump into conclusions or don't just go for compromises because they're easily available or they are inexpensive. The reason I'm telling you this is because I've done a lot of mistakes in the past by just choosing some domain name that is kind of a compromise because I couldn't find the actual domain name I was looking for. For example, I wanted to get dailyblogger.com, but that wasn't available. Somebody was actually holding on to it for a while, so I couldn't get it. Immediately I went for dailyseoblog.com, which was a little bit of a compromise, still okay, good domain name. But I know folks who have taken terrible steps by going for really bad compromises, like for example something like domain names like your-information-highway.info. I mean, that's not the kind of domain names you can refer your friends to, right? You need something that's very short, that's a good brandable name, and that has a recall value and something that even your grandma would remember if you were to pitch your blog to her. So invest a lot of time in finding a good domain name. I mean, there is a reason why there's Google, Yahoo, Flickr, Tinder, and all of these names are really popular, and people recall it, and of course the services are amazing, but the name itself has a ring to it, and it's well thought out and it's a good brand name. You wouldn't want to think about your-information-highway.info as a good domain name. So avoid compromises, take a lot of time, invest your time in thinking and finding out what a good brandable name is. It could be your name, it could be a fruit, a color, whatever. Just get creative and make sure that maybe you can mix and match or mash up a few different names and come up with completely new names like Flickr or Tinder and things like that. Whatever it is, try to make sure that your domain name is short and brandable, and that's what makes it more valuable. Now, assuming that you will have an amazing blog down the line and you'll have more audience, then your brand will become popular, no doubt about that. But if you start out on the wrong foot by choosing a really bad domain name, then it'll become a burden for you later in life. So number one is choose a very simple, brandable, good domain name. Take all the time you want, don't jump into conclusions, and don't go for compromises. Number two is always go for .coms. I've seen a lot of people go for .infos, .net, .orgs, etc. just because they are cheaper than .coms. But ask yourself this question: how many people can actually remember a .info domain name? Even if you said something like redapples.info, when they go back to their computers or mobiles and check for it, they would be obviously typing in .coms because people have .coms in their mind associated with domain names, not .infos or .nets and things like that, which is kind of a plan B, sort of a compromise in most cases. So unless you're like a big corporation or something which has trademark issues or only has a few has a lot of limitations in choosing brand names or domain names, don't go for it. So if you're a blogger, you have all the luxury to think about creative domain names and maybe use your name itself as well, like in my case manikarthik.com, and make sure that you choose a .com and not a .info, .net or anything like that. That's point number two. Now point number three is that buy from a reputed domain registrar. Now there are a lot of domain registrars out there that's in business. There's GoDaddy, there's Namecheap, and you just Google and you'll find a lot of them. I personally recommend using GoDaddy because I've been using this for the past 10 plus years, and their excellent service is amazing. The service is amazing. I just love the way they have customer support and everything. There's a little bit of could be an issue where they try to upsell things for you. Like for example, if you buy a domain name, they always ask you whether you want a hosting coming with it, or another protection plan and things like that. Which I believe every service does it, but GoDaddy also has it. So, but their choice of domain names and the entire process of actually buying it is very, very, very simple. So always go for that. Now, the fourth tip is that make sure that you use coupons. Now, I don't know if you know about coupons, but in domain names, number one, they're very cheap. They come at like about $5 or $7 like that for a year. In terms of rupees, I believe about 599 or closer to that bracket. But you should also know that there are discount coupons available for domain names, especially if you're buying from GoDaddy. What I would suggest you is that just Google for GoDaddy discount coupons, and you will find a lot of coupons on the internet where you can get up to even 30% on your domain name. So that's a huge number, right? Especially for starters, beginners who are just starting out their blogging journey. You don't want to spend too much. You can squeeze as much money as you can everywhere possible, and domain name is one such place where you can get a good discount with a discount coupon. Now I'll put up a link on my on the description where you can find some of these good coupons, but just Google and you'll find a lot of them as well. Now the last point is that think of your domain name as your brand name, right? Like in my case, Mani Karthik, which is my name itself, is the brand name. And make sure, the reason I chose it is because this is something that you will be living with for the entire life, or as much as you have the blog yourself. So it's very important. It's like choosing your own name. You're getting a chance to choose your own name. So why choose a really bad name when you can actually choose a good one if you can get creative? So think of it not as a technical thing, like some kind of phone number or something. It is actually your name. It's what people will associate yourself with. They'll always call you, the daily blogger guy, or whatever it is that you're trying to set up. Because I'm assuming that your content and your blog itself will be really interesting later. So make sure that you have the brand name that goes along with it. And your domain name is not just a domain name, it's actually your brand. So think about it in that way, and make sure that you really invest your time finding out a good domain name. Look at what other people are doing. Look at what your competition is doing. Try getting creative by smashing in different combinations of words. Put in some colors, add other prefixes or suffixes that actually make sense or has ring to it when combined together, not just a compromise. Do that, and then make sure that you choose a very, very good domain name, because this is going to last forever with you, right? So this is why it is very significant and important. Now, one final tip for you is that when you go to GoDaddy or Namecheap or all these domain registrars, what happens is when you search for something that you're interested in, let's say for example redapples.com is what you are trying to get. They will always give you suggestions, because most of the time the thing that you're looking for may not be available, and they'll always ask you, that's not available, do you want myredapples.com, or do you want redapples.website.com, or redapples.info? And please understand that these are all automatically generated or computer generated alternate suggestions, because there's no human being sitting there and thinking over it and giving you suggestions. It's just computer looking at what are the available options and throwing it out to you. And most of the times, 90% of the time, they're stupid. I'm sorry to say, but none of those suggestions that I've seen in my case is really useful. They just show you some, just add some prefixes and suffixes with some random keyword or maybe a related keyword, and then show you the suggestions. They always add blog or website to something that you're looking for, or show you cheaper options with .info, .net and things like that. My tip is, don't go for these suggestions. If you can put in some thought and add some words yourself, if you can think about it, then you would get a lot more better suggestions. These computer generated ones are just, it doesn't make any sense most of the time. So don't go for those. put in some time, brainstorm with your friends or family or whoever you have at your office or at home, and come up with really, really different domain names, and don't go for the ones that the registrar suggests you to go ahead with. I shouldn't probably be saying this, but just a tip. Yeah, just keep it in your mind. All right. So cool. So we did video 1 today. We just discussed all about domain names. Where can you get them? What are the mistakes you should avoid? And how can you get them cheap and inexpensive? I hope this was useful for you. If you liked it, please feel free to like and share, and comment if you have any comments or questions. I'll be happy to take them. And you can reach me on email or WhatsApp. It's all there on my website. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.